chose him from the ship pens. God chose David so that he will no longer be a shepherd. He will not continue to be a shepherd, but he will become a shepherd of people. He will become the king of Israel. So that was God's plan, God's calling in his life. But in David's life also we see some of the other qualities that he had, which actually helped him to become a good leader, a healthy leader. So what are the other qualities? We see he had the integrity of heart. Okay, the character, the good character, okay, the integrity. So when God gave him the responsibility, it was not like, okay, I have become the king and now whatever I will think, I will do. Okay, so it was not like that for David. David followed God wholeheartedly and he fulfilled everything that was God's plan. He made God happy through his life, through his work. He pleased God. And not only he pleased God, he also pleased the people. He thought good for the people. If you read the Bible, there will be a lot of other kings. Okay, if you study first king, second king, there will be a lot of other kings also. But if you make a list of good kings and bad kings, so which list will go higher? What do you think? Whether good kings will be good or bad kings? If you study from the Bible, study about the different kings, about whom we study in the Bible. So, what will you find? Which list will be higher? Good kings, the list of good kings, or the list of bad kings? Bad kings, yeah. If you study, if you go home and make a list, you'll see there will be a lot of kings who actually did not follow God. Okay, they did not follow God. They just followed their own desire. They followed their own desire. But David was a king. He did not follow his own desire, that what I want to do. No, what God wants from my life. Okay, so he wholeheartedly followed God. He fulfilled God's calling in his life through a good character. So a good character is also important for a good leader. Okay, character is important. So that's why God says he is a man after my own heart, right? God had the calling in his life even before he was born. But when the right time came for David, God revealed his plan. God may have a plan for all of us, but we will not know the plan right after we are born, right? Can a boy, a small baby, know God's plan? A newborn baby. Does a newborn baby know God's plan? What do you think? A newborn baby. Will that newborn baby know God's plan in his life? What do you think? Huh?
God plan.
Sorry?
God plan. Maybe also.
Maybe?
Children also God plan.
Sure. Sorry, I'm not able to understand.
Children born. Borning is baby born is the plannings of God.
Yeah, definitely. The babies are born is a blessing of God, God's plan. But do you think a newborn baby will know God's plan in his life? No, he will not know anything.
Yeah.
He will not know who are his parents. Okay, where I am born, in which city, whether I am in Aizawl or whether I am in Calcutta, or I am in which city. He will not know anything, right?
Yes.
He will not know anything. But as he grows up, as he can understand everything, as he understands God, he develops a relationship with God, slowly he will be able to understand God's plan. So he will not know God's plan from day one, right from the time when he was born. But God already has a plan for him. Okay, as he grows up, he may understand God's plan. Okay, so in the same way, we all have a plan from God, whether we know or we don't know the plan. But God has a plan for all of us, and that's why all of you are here, right? That's why all of us are here. So we need to follow, we need to fulfill God's plan. But also, the character is important because God sees our character. God will not reveal His plan to you if your character is not right. Okay, we need to develop our character. Then only we can understand God's plan. Otherwise, if you are not walking with God, if I am walking on the other way, away from God, how can I know God's plan? So I need to develop a godly character in me. Okay, then only I will be able to understand God's plan. So character is important for a healthy leader. Very important. Okay, and if you read the Bible from, if you read 2 Samuel chapter 8 verse 15, Can anyone read 2 Samuel chapter 8 verse 15?
So David reigned over all Israel, and David administered judgment and justice to all his people.
So what is written here? What David did? He did all the good things, right, for the people. He thought about the people. He did what was just and right for all his people. So David, as a king, when he understood God's plan, he thought about the people. He fulfilled the responsibility with good character, with integrity. So there is one more quality that is needed, that is good character. So calling is needed, character is also needed. And there is one more thing we studied from here, skills, right? With skills from David's life. Verse 72 says, with integrity of heart and skillful hands. Skillful hands. What does that mean? David was a shepherd boy, and he was very skillful in that. How to take care of the sheep, how to feed them, how to take them to the field, and how to bring them back. He knew everything. He was very skilled in that. But now God is making a change in his life. God is giving him a promotion. Okay, promotion from being a shepherd to be the king of Israel. So there is a shift of his work. There is a change in his life. So now his previous skills will not help him to be a good king, right? The skills of being a shepherd will not help him to be a good king. So what he needs to do? He needs to develop his skills. He needs to develop his skills. Skills as a good king. So what he did, actually what God did, God built his skills. If you study the Bible, you'll see when Samuel came to anoint him, he was not made the king the next day. Did he go and sit on the throne from the next day onwards? What do you think? If you read in 1 Samuel chapter 16, Samuel is anointing David. But what do you think David was doing in the next chapter? In chapter 17? Who can say? What is there? It's a very famous thing, a very common thing that we know. What David is doing in chapter 17? Yeah, you can also see. He is defeating, he is fighting with Goliath. Right?
Yes.
So it's not that the time when he was anointed, he understood God's plan, and then the next day only he sat on the throne of the king. No, God started developing him. God started building him. You need to be the king, so you need to have the skills. So what David is doing is not that David next day again he took the sheep to the the field to take care of them. No, now his real journey starts. His real struggle starts. He needs to fight. Okay, he is fighting with Goliath. And if you study all the following chapters, you will see David is fighting the battle continuously. David is fighting. He is going from one hill to another hill. He is running for his life. Saul is trying to kill him, and he is just running. He is just running. He doesn't know where he will stay, what he will eat. The real struggle starts. And that's how God is building his skills. God is building his character, and God is also building his skills. So, God is not making him the king right after he is anointed, but God is actually helping him to grow and develop in the skills. And that is also very important. The skills, the competency of a leader. Okay. The competency of a leader. So just like God's calling is important, a leader should know God's calling. The same way, he should also develop a godly character. Okay, the godly character, which will make God happy and also which will make people happy. Sometimes we are very much focused on how to make people happy. People should talk good about me, they'll be happy with me, they will please me. But sometimes we don't think how to make God happy with our life, and that's where our character is formed. How can I make God happy with my life? Okay, that is the formation of a good character with integrity. And then also the skills. What I can learn more to fulfill God's calling. God has called me for a particular thing. Okay, how can I do that and how can I develop my skills for that? David was concerned for that. David did not complain to God. You know, when he knew God is going to make him the king, he is patiently waiting. See, patience, we have written. You know, he is waiting, he is waiting. He is not saying that, God, you told me that I'll be the king, but I'm struggling here. You know, I'm struggling in this place. There is no food, there is no water, what will I do? He is not complaining. But all his psalms are written as a praise to God, you know, as a thanksgiving to God. He is not complaining, God, when are you going to fulfill your promise? Have you forgotten your promise? No, but he is patiently waiting. And you know, as I was reading 2 Samuel, I saw when Samuel came and anointed David, he anointed him as the king of Israel. But David was actually became the king of Judah, right? He became the king of Judah. So he could have said that, God, you said I'll be the king of Israel, but here I'm the king of Judah. When I'm going to become the king of Israel? No, he was waiting. He was waiting. 7 years he was waiting. Then he became the king of Israel. Even before that also, when he got the opportunity to be the king by killing Saul, he refused that one. He said, no, I cannot kill God's anointed. 2 times, you know, he got the opportunity, but he did not kill Saul. Why? Because he was having patience. He was patient with God. Whatever God said will be fulfilled in my life. I need to wait. God is preparing me. God is developing me. God is teaching me something. God is building my character. God is building my competency. I need to wait. And when the right time came, God only gave him the opportunity to be the king. So from David's life, we learn 3 things. Okay. First of all, God's calling. Secondly, his character. And third is his competence. Do you think these 3 qualities are important for a healthy leader? Calling, character, competency. What do you think? These 3 are very essential qualities, right? Calling, God's calling,
Yes.
understanding God's calling. Secondly, developing a godly character. Thirdly, building competencies, skills, knowledge, you know, experiences, competencies. So these 3 are required, right? As a healthy leader, a person can become a healthy leader if they follow these 3 qualities in their life. What do you think? Yeah? What are the 3 things? Can you tell me? Repeat after me. First, what is the first thing?
Calling.
Calling. Second?
Good character. Character.
Character. Yeah, all of you. Say it loudly. What is the second thing?
Character.
Character. Yeah, say character.
Character.
And third? Competency. So repeat after me one more time. Calling.
Calling.
Loudly. Okay. Calling. Character. Competency. So these 3 things are very much required for a healthy leader. Okay. He needs to understand God's calling. He needs to develop his character as godly character. And third, he needs to develop his competency, skills, knowledge, which will help him to fulfill God's calling in his life. Calling, character, and competency. If any of these are missing from a leader's life, what will happen? If the calling is missing, he doesn't know God's calling, then what will happen? What do you think? If he is not aware of God's calling in his life, what will happen? He will not go in the right track. God has made him a particular thing, but he is going in the wrong way. Okay, if he doesn't know God's calling, he will go in the wrong way. If David didn't know God's calling, he was still a shepherd boy, but he knew God is building me, so that's why he was going in the right track. So a leader needs to know what is God's calling. That will take him to the right track. Then secondly, if character is missing, what will happen? What do you think? If character is missing, is it okay?
Yes.
Okay to not have a good character? What do you think?
No.
No, right? So leaders should have a good character. If character
Yes.
is missing, nobody will trust him. Okay, nobody would like to learn from him. Okay, nobody will trust him. So character is important to be accepted by the community. The community will accept him that yes, he is a good character. He is a leader with good character. Okay, so that's why character is important. And thirdly, competencies. If competencies are missing, then what will happen? Maybe he has a very big vision, but he doesn't have the abilities to accomplish that. He wants to do more, but he doesn't have the knowledge, the skills to do it more. So he will not be able to move forward. He will be stuck in one place. He has a vision, big vision, but he is not able to move because he doesn't have the competencies, the skills. So these three things are important. Calling, character and competency. Okay. But there is also one more thing which will actually help him to grow in all the areas. What do you think? What is that? What is the one thing, the most important thing that will help him to grow in all these three areas? What is the most important thing in a leader's life?
Communication. Communication.
Meditation.
Communication.
Communication, okay? Communication with whom? How can he grow or understand his calling, grow in his character, grow in the competency? What will help him? What is the most important quality that he needs to have? Surrender. Surrender. Okay, surrender to whom? Surrender to God, or maybe
Yes.
having a relationship with God, relationship with Christ. That will only help him to grow in all the areas. He will know his calling from God. If he is not with God, he will not know God's calling. He can develop in his character when he is connected to God. Without God, he cannot develop in the character. And also, he can grow in the competency how God is teaching him. God teaches all of us, right? God takes us through difficult situations in our life, difficult circumstances, but God actually teaches us a lot of things in our life, right? So we will not allow ourselves to be taught by God if we are not connected with God. So definitely God, the first thing is Christ. Growing in Christ, having a relationship with Christ, loving Christ. So that is the first thing that is required. So let's read one more verse. Luke chapter 10 verse 27. Luke chapter 10 verse 27.
So he answered and said, Ye shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbors as yourself.
Yes. So here what we see, what is the first commandment that we need to do? What is the first thing?
Love
Love whom?
God
Love God, yeah, love God. How much we need to love God?
as myself.
No,
With
love God
all
as-
my
with
heart.
all my heart, with all my soul, with all my strength, with all my abilities, everything. We need to love God. Love God 100%. It's not that 50-50. Okay, I love God 50% and I love the world 50%. You cannot say like that. Or maybe you cannot say like, okay, I love God a lot. Maybe 80% I love God, 90% I love God, 10% okay, I love the world. No. What this verse says, we need to love God 100%. Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. Okay, with all your wisdom, everything we need to love God. Okay. So the first thing is love God. As we love God, we grow in God. Okay. And how can we know God's love? Only through Jesus Christ. If you have a relationship with Christ, you can know God. God gave us a way to know Him, that is only through Jesus Christ. No other way. If we reject Christ, we will not be able to know God. So in order to know God and to love God, we need to come to Christ, have a relationship with Christ, love Christ and grow in Christ. So the foundational thing for a leader is to have a relationship with Christ. Okay, a relationship. That is the first thing in his life. And then we need to do one more thing as per this verse. Love God and love whom? Love neighbor.
Neighbor.
Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, who are our neighbors? Who are our neighbors? What do you think? Who are your neighbors?
Those who live nearby us.
Okay, those who live nearby. So you can say, okay, all of you are live nearby, you know. So you will love each other. So you will only love people from Aizawl, not the people from Calcutta, right? And I also said, no, all the people, those who live nearby are in Calcutta, not in Aizawl. So I will not love anyone from Aizawl. So who is our neighbor? What do you think? Only those who stay around us. What do you think? Who is? Sorry? All the people. Okay, all the people. So who all are involved in that? Who is your first neighbor?
God.
Who is your first neighbor? What do you think? The first neighbor.
First.
With whom, like you spend most of the time in your life.
Yes.
What do you think? Who will be your first neighbor? Let me ask the married people. Who are your first neighbor? What do you think? Maybe you can also answer. Who is your first neighbor? Sorry?
Those who good things to us. Those who do good things to us.
Yeah, I mean, who do you think is your first neighbor?
Spouse.
Yes, spouse.
Wife.
Wife, husband, children, family, right? Parents. So they are our first neighbor because they are always looking at us. They are always, they are always seeing like what we are doing, whether we are doing good things or bad things, whether our life is aligned with God or we are just living a worldly life. So they are our first neighbors, right? They are our first neighbors. We need to love them first. Okay, we need to love them first, our family. Then comes what? We are also part of another family. Which family? Apart from our own family, we are also part of another family. Which family? Yes? Which family? Apart from our family? Yeah? God's family. Yeah, God's family. That is what? The church. You are part of the church. So church family. That is also a family, God's family. So we need to love our family. We also need to love our church. Okay? People in the church. And also we need to love our co-workers. Okay, co-worker means for your means in your case you can say like all your classmates, all those students who are studying with you. Okay, they are also your neighbors, so you need to love them. And also apart from that, you need to love all the people who are connected with you, your relatives, your those who are staying around you, those who are doing good to you, those who are not doing good to you, everybody. So all of them are your neighbors, but you need to follow this sequence. Love your family first, love your church, then love the people those who are working with you or studying with you, and then love all the people those who are connected with you. Okay, so this is called community. We are staying in this community, we are working in this community, we are serving in this community. So we need to love our community. So we need to love God, means we need to love Christ, and then we also need to love our community wherever God has placed us, in our family, in our church, in our surrounding area, in the college, wherever God has placed us, we need to love all the people. So from here also we learned about two other aspects. Love God means Christ, and secondly love our community. So now we have 5 qualities of a healthy leader. What are the first 3? What are the first 3 qualities?
Calling.
Yeah, calling,
Character.
and skills. Means
Competence.
competency.
Yes.
And then we got 2 more. What are these 2?
Skillness.
No, that was competency.
Oh.
Now 2 more. Love God means Christ, and second
Love
is
us first or
Love your neighbor.
love your neighbor means community. Christ and community. So see, there are 5 areas, 5 qualities of a healthy leader: calling, character, competency, Christ, and community. 5 areas. Okay. So a leader should grow in these 5 areas. Okay, in these 5 areas. So can you tell me, out of these 5, okay, out of these 5, what will be the first priority of leader? Where he needs to develop first out of these 5? Calling, character, competency, Christ, community. What will be the first priority for a leader?
Love God.
Love God, yeah, love God. First, he needs to develop himself in Christ, in a relationship with Christ. Apart from Christ, he cannot do anything. He cannot grow in other areas. So, Christ is first. Okay, he needs to know Christ more. He needs to have more, intimate relationship with Christ. No, he needs to know Christ more deeply, right? Then, after knowing Christ, what he needs to do?
Prayer.
Yeah, prayer means, out of these 5 areas, after knowing Christ, what he needs to do? Where he needs to grow? Christ, then what will be the second thing? Love our neighbor. Yeah, as he knows Christ, he needs to reflect the love of Christ to others, to his family, to his co-workers, his classmates, his colleagues, and then to his church, and to all the people those who are connected to him. He needs to reflect Christ to the community. So Christ and community, these two are first. First is Christ, then community. Then after that, what happens? As he loves his community, his people, what will happen? What will happen? When you love your community, when you love your people, love as Christ loved you, what will happen? It will develop your character. Okay, it will develop your character. So as you know Christ, as you love people according to Christ's love, you are actually developing your character. You are developing godly character in yourself. Okay, godly character. And as you develop godly character, you will understand God's calling. Until and unless you develop character, you will not be able to understand God's calling. So when the character is developed, you understand, slowly you understand God's calling in your life. And then after you understand God's calling, you need to grow in competence, in skills. So now there are 5 areas. Okay, 5 areas. Christ, community, character, calling, and competence. These 5 areas. Okay. And a leader should grow in only these 5 areas. Only these 5 areas. Okay. Only these 5 areas. What about all these qualities? What do you think? I said only 5 areas. If you grow in these 5 areas, that is enough. You grow, in relationship with Christ, you reflect Christ in the community, develop a godly character, understand God's calling, and grow in competency. So these 5 areas are enough for a leader. So what about the others? All these qualities. What do you think? All these qualities are connected to these 5 areas. Okay. So if you grow in these 5 areas, you actually grow in all the qualities, or maybe more qualities also. If you list out more qualities, everything is connected in these 5 areas. Okay, 5 areas. Can you repeat after me? What is the first one? No. Christ. Community. After that, character, calling, and competency. Yeah. So can you see any common thing in all these 5 areas? Any common thing? What is the common thing in all these 5 areas? Christ, community, character, calling, competency. What is common here? What is common? What it starts with what? C. Yeah, it starts with C. So that means we actually call this a 5C quality. Okay, or 5C goal, right? It's a 5C goal. In the beginning only I said there will be 3 parts of our model: goal, process, and design, right? So today we learned about the goal. What is the goal? Our goal is to grow in 5C. 5C, okay? the 5 areas, the 5 qualities of a healthy leader. And these 5 areas are the complete, the holistic approach. It will help a leader to grow and work in all the different areas of his life. Okay, he doesn't have to think about what other things that I need to think. No, these 5 areas are enough for him. And in these 5 areas only, all these qualities are connected. You think about any quality, anything, you see everything is connected in the 5 areas. Okay. So what do you think? This 5C, will it help a leader to grow as a healthy leader? Right?
Yes.
I am giving you a spiritual formula. If you go to a maths class, they will give you some formula how to solve the maths. So I am giving a spiritual formula which will actually help you to grow in your ministry life. What you will do, in the ministry. So these 5 areas are important. As you are growing, you can also think how you can grow in these 5 areas. As you are, teaching others, building others, so you can also teach them to grow in these 5 areas. So these 5 areas are actually, it's a biblical process. 5C goal. Okay, it's a 5C goal. So a leader should always focus on how to grow in these 5 areas. Always, he should always evaluate himself that okay, I am strong in which area, I am weak in which area. I need to grow, I need to develop myself in those areas. Okay, so he should always continuously develop himself in all these 5 areas. Okay, any question? Any question? Are you able to understand, or everything went off your head? And you can, and maybe that person also can share his strength and weakness, and you can also pray for that person. Okay, so for the next 15 minutes we can do this exercise. First you evaluate your life, first you pray, and then ask God to show you where you are lacking, so you can make this water drum of your life. And then after this is over, you can just go to any person and pray. 2 by 2 you can pray for that person. You can just go around, go to the roof, go outside, and go anywhere and you can pray. After that we will close for the day.